Welcome to our comprehensive guide on gingivectomy, a surgical procedure that involves the excision of the soft tissue wall of the periodontal pocket. Gingivectomy is a vital technique in periodontal therapy, helping to restore oral health and improve aesthetics. In this video, we will explore what gingivectomy is, its prerequisites, indications, contraindications, and the various techniques used in its practice. We'll also discuss related procedures like gingivoplasty and examine the healing process after surgery. Whether you're a dental professional or someone interested in oral health, this video will provide a clear and detailed overview of gingivectomy. Gingivectomy is defined as the surgical removal of the soft tissue wall of the periodontal pocket. This procedure is primarily performed to eliminate pockets that harbor bacteria and contribute to periodontal disease. By excising the diseased tissue, gingivectomy helps restore the health of the gums and prevents further progression of gum disease. It's important to note that gingivectomy is distinct from gingivoplasty, which focuses on reshaping the gingiva rather than removing pockets. Understanding these differences is crucial for selecting the appropriate treatment for each patient. Gingivoplasty is a related procedure that involves recontouring the gingival tissue to restore its physiologic form. Unlike gingivectomy, gingivoplasty does not aim to eliminate pockets, but rather to reshape the gums that have lost their natural contour. This technique is often used to correct irregularities, improve aesthetics, and create a more functional and healthy gum line. Gingivoplasty can be performed using various instruments, including periodontal knives, scalpels, diamond stones, or electrodes, depending on the clinical situation. Before performing a gingivectomy, certain prerequisites must be met to ensure the safety and effectiveness of the procedure. First, there should be an adequate zone of attached gingiva, so that excision will still leave a functionally sufficient area. The underlying alveolar bone must be in normal or nearly normal form, and any bone loss should be horizontal in nature. It's also essential that there are no infrabony defects or pockets present. Meeting these prerequisites helps minimize complications and promotes optimal healing after surgery. Gingivectomy is indicated in several clinical situations. It is used to eliminate supraalveolar pockets and abscesses, remove fibrous or edematous enlargements of the gingiva, and transform rolled or blunted margins to a physiologic form. The procedure also helps create a more aesthetic gum line, especially when the anatomic crown is not fully exposed. Gingivectomy can establish bilateral symmetry, expose additional clinical crown for restorative procedures, and correct gingival craters. These indications guide clinicians in selecting gingivectomy as the treatment of choice. There are several contraindications to gingivectomy that must be considered. The procedure should not be performed in the presence of thick alveolar edges, interdental craters, or bizarre crestal bone forms. Infrabony pockets, pockets extending to or below the mucogingival junction, and inadequate oral hygiene maintenance are also contraindications. Additionally, uncooperative or medically compromised patients, those with dentinal hypersensitivity, and cases in aesthetically challenging areas, especially the maxillary anterior region, should be avoided. Proper patient selection is crucial for successful outcomes. Gingivectomy can be performed using several techniques, each suited to specific clinical scenarios. The main types include surgical gingivectomy, gingivectomy by electrosurgery, laser gingivectomy, and chemosurgery. Surgical gingivectomy is the traditional method, involving manual excision with specialized instruments. Electrosurgery uses high-frequency currents, while laser gingivectomy employs CO2 or number YAG lasers. Chemosurgery utilizes chemicals like paraformaldehyde or potassium hydroxide. Understanding these types helps clinicians choose the most appropriate technique for each patient. The surgical gingivectomy procedure requires a specific set of instruments. These include a mouth mirror and probe for examination, pocket markers, Kirkland and Orban interdental gingivectomy knives, surgical blades with barred Parker handles, surgical curettes, Gracie curettes, tissue forceps, scissors, and periodontal dressing materials. Each instrument plays a vital role in ensuring precise excision, proper cleaning, and effective post-operative care. Familiarity with these tools is essential for performing a successful gingivectomy. The first step in surgical gingivectomy is to explore the pockets on each surface using a periodontal probe. The pocket marker is then inserted to the bottom of the pocket, and the depth is marked with the puncturing beak. Bleeding points are marked in all areas with probing depth. This step is crucial for accurately identifying the extent of diseased tissue and planning the excision. Proper marking ensures that only the necessary tissue is removed, minimizing trauma and promoting optimal healing. Periodontal knives are used to make incisions on the facial and lingual surfaces. Auxiliary instruments like barred Parker blades and scissors assist in the process. The incision starts apical to the marked points and is directed coronally to a point between the base of the pocket and the crest of the bone. The incision should be beveled at approximately 45 degrees to the tooth surface, recreating the normal festooned pattern of the gingiva. Exposure of bone is undesirable, but if it occurs, proper coverage with a periodontal pack can aid healing. After the incision, the excised pocket wall is carefully removed. The area is cleaned thoroughly, and the root surface is closely examined for any deposits. This step ensures that all diseased tissue is eliminated and the root surface is free of calculus and necrotic cementum. Proper cleaning is essential for promoting healing and preventing recurrence of periodontal disease. Attention to detail during this step can significantly impact the success of the procedure. The next step involves carefully curetting out granulation tissue and removing any calculus or necrotic cementum from the root surface. This process leaves a clean and smooth root surface, which is essential for proper healing and reattachment of the gingiva. Using surgical curettes and Gracie curettes, the clinician ensures that all unhealthy tissue is eliminated. This meticulous preparation sets the stage for successful post-operative recovery. Once the area is clean and prepared, it is covered with a surgical pack. The periodontal dressing protects the surgical site, promotes healing, and minimizes discomfort for the patient. Proper application of the surgical pack is important to ensure that the area remains undisturbed during the initial healing phase. The pack also helps control bleeding and provides a barrier against infection. Gingivoplasty involves reshaping the gingival margins to restore their physiologic form. Instruments used include periodontal knives, scalpels, diamond stones, or electrodes. The procedure consists of tapering the gingival margins, scalloping the marginal outline, thinning the attached gingiva, and creating vertical interdental grooves. Shaping the interdental papillae provides sluiceways for the passage of food, improving both function and aesthetics. Gingivoplasty is indicated for thickened margins, clefts, craters, irregular outlines, and saucer-shaped defects. The healing process after surgical gingivectomy begins with the formation of a protective surface clot. This clot is replaced by granulation tissue, which grows coronally to create a new free gingival margin and sulcus. Within 24 hours, new connective tissue cells, mainly angioblasts, appear, and by the third day, numerous fibroblasts are present. Capillaries from the periodontal ligament migrate into the granulation tissue, connecting with gingival vessels within 2 weeks. Surface epithelialization is generally complete after 5 to 14 days, with full keratinization taking about 1 month. Electrosurgery, also known as surgical diathermy, uses high-frequency currents ranging from 1.5 to 7.5 million cycles per second. 3 classes of electrodes are used: single-wire electrodes for incising and excising, loop electrodes for planning tissues, and heavy bulkier electrodes for coagulation. 4 types of electrosurgical techniques are available: electrosection, electrocoagulation, electrofulguration, and electrodesiccation. Electrosurgery is useful in dermatological and cancer surgeries, but its application in dentistry is more limited. Electrosurgery offers several techniques for gingivectomy and related procedures. Electrosection involves incising, excising, and planning tissues. Electrocoagulation is used to prevent hemorrhage, while electrofulguration employs high-voltage current with limited dental application. Electrodesiccation uses a dehydrating current and is rarely used due to its dangerous nature. The active electrode is inserted into the tissue, causing mass coagulation in situ. Each technique has specific indications and limitations, making proper selection essential. Gingivectomy can also be performed using electrosurgery. This method permits adequate contouring of tissues and controls hemorrhage. However, it cannot be used in patients with poorly shielded cardiac pacemakers and may cause unpleasant odor. If the electrode touches the bone, irreparable damage may result. The heat generated can cause tissue damage and cemental necrosis. Despite these disadvantages, electrosurgery is indicated for removal of gingival enlargements, gingivoplasty, relocation of frenum and muscle attachments, and incision of periodontal and pericoronal abscesses. Different electrodes are used for specific purposes in electrosurgery. Needle electrodes and diamond-shaped electrodes are used for festooning during gingivoplasty. Ball electrodes are used for hemostasis, and loop electrodes are used for relocating frenum and muscle attachments. Healing after electrosurgery is similar to surgical gingivectomy, but some reports suggest delayed healing, greater reduction in gingival height, and more bone injury. Careful technique and proper instrument selection are vital for minimizing complications. Laser gingivectomy utilizes CO2 and Nundig YAG lasers for excision of gingival overgrowth. While these lasers offer precision and minimal bleeding, their use in periodontal surgery is not widely supported by research. Laser gingivectomy is less common than surgical or electrosurgical methods, but it may be considered in specific cases where traditional techniques are not suitable. Understanding the limitations and advantages of laser gingivectomy is important for making informed clinical decisions. Chemosurgery involves the use of chemicals such as 5% paraformaldehyde or potassium hydroxide to remove gingival tissue. This method is rarely used due to its disadvantages, including uncontrolled depth of action, potential injury to normal tissues, inability to remodel gingiva, and delayed healing. Chemosurgery may be considered in very specific cases, but its risks often outweigh the benefits. Clinicians must carefully evaluate the appropriateness of this technique for each patient.